Hello and welcome to DFS Coach Talk. I am your host, Josh Davis, also known as Crash, and I am joined by the one and only Steve Miller, aka Miller Time. Steve, how are you doing tonight? Ready for Week 14?
I am. Week 14, last week before fantasy playoffs and year-long leagues. And
True.
I mean, yeah. I need a lot to happen to get me in, but there's always that hope or that chance.
So you're like the Packers right now. They need about 25 different things, and they have to win out. So yeah,
pretty much. Yep, sitting at 6-7. Need to have 7 wins to get in, and need to win and need some losses. So
right. In the old Dumb and Dumber, you're saying there's a chance category.
Exactly.
So totally understand. Yeah, so it's hard to believe it's already Week 14. We're only a few weeks away from the season being over. Feels like it just started in some ways. So, but yeah, looking to finish the season strong. Hopefully we can help some people with, like you were talking about, their fantasy playoffs as they're going into those. And we've got quite a few teams on bye this week. There's 6 teams: the Packers, the Bears, the Falcons, the Colts, the Saints, and the Commanders. They're all on bye this week. So we didn't have – I don't think we had anyone on bye last week, but this week we've got 6 teams. So let's go ahead. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into this slate. The first game we have on tap, we have the New York Jets at the Buffalo Bills, 1 p.m. Eastern start time. Buffalo is favored by 10. Has a 43 over under, and there is a 47% chance of snow with 11 mile an hour winds. So how are you feeling about this game? Who are your favorite plays? Anything you don't like about this game? Let's go from there.
Yeah, so it's going to be an awesome game. It's a great divisional round or rival. The Jets won last time. Let's see if they can do it again. A 10-point favorite for the Bills. It's pretty steep.
Yeah,
I would probably go the other way with that one.
Yeah, it's pretty steep. I agree.
There's some interesting plays, and then there's the what do you do type of thing. Starting at the running back position with the Jets, they've been kind of all over the place this year with running backs. Michael Carter got hurt a couple weeks ago. Zonovan Knight came in, got a huge share of the carries. James Robinson was the healthy scratch, and last week he didn't do much even when he got into the system. I don't know if he's going to be scratched this week again. Michael Carter's supposed to be healthy. Who can you trust in this backfield? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm with
Michael
you.
Carter being back, so there's some questions there. And then as far as going into the Bills backfield, James Cook looks like he's taken over that position, but Devin Singletary's still there. So, again, it's like pick your poison, or you got to really choose that guy properly. So as far as the running backs go in these games, I'm kind of staying away from them.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. I will say I do like James Cook a little bit. I think that, with the snow and everything else going on, and he's been getting more carries of late. He's a bigger back than Devin Singletary. I think he's a valuable play. He's 4,600 on DraftKings, 6,100 on Fanduel, $14 on Yahoo. But outside of that, I mean, I'm completely with you on fading the running backs. I think that's the way to go.
As far as quarterbacks in this game, you can always play Josh Allen. He's kind of a must start week in, week out. Again, I think the Jets are really good against the receiver. Josh Allen's main man, Stephon Diggs. He's obviously going to get his targets and his opportunities, but I think the ball is going to be spread around quite a bit this week between all of his receivers. Receiver I really like in this game is Garrett Wilson for the Jets. He kind of demands the targets. He's really good. He's a really good receiver. In my opinion, he's going to be rookie of the year for the Jets. They probably have both rookie of the years on their team with Garrett Wilson and with Sauce Gardner, and they had it back in like week 5 with Breece Hall. So They're doing good things over there in New York and bringing in the right personnel and making the good decisions. So I actually like the Jets in this game. I'm hoping that they
Okay.
pull this one off.
Even though they're in Buffalo, you still like the Jets, huh?
I do. I like the coach. I like what he brings, and
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be a hand me win. I think it's going to be a close, a close game. And I think they have a better chance with Mike White in there as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to Zach
Agreed.
Wilson. So
Yeah.
it's all looking on the uppity up for the Jets in this one.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you about Zach Wilson, versus Mike White. I think Mike White's definitely given them a more stable quarterback situation, and they should be able to win some games here down the stretch to get in the playoffs. Yeah, Garrett Wilson, one of my top plays. He's 5,900 on DraftKings, 7,200 on Fanduel, $22 on Yahoo. Josh Allen is actually one of the higher owned quarterbacks on this slate on both Fanduel and Yahoo. Not as much on DraftKings, but that was a little bit interesting to me. I didn't expect that. I figured that, Jared Goff and Kirk Cousins, maybe Jalen Hurts would be the top three. But he's actually, I believe he's the number one projected owned quarterback on some of the slates. So the Jets have been very good against wide receivers and quarterbacks in general. So that's surprising to me. Yeah,
me too. Actually, kind of, I guess people still think it's the old Jets. So
right. Yeah, I guess so, but it's definitely not. Well, let's go on to the next game. We've got the Cleveland Browns at the Cincinnati Bengals, 1 p.m. Eastern start time. Cincinnati's favored by 5.5. Has a 46.5 over under. It's a little bit interesting to me that Cincinnati's favored like that. I mean, yeah, they're at home. But if you look at the matchups recently, Joe Burrow has actually really struggled against the Browns. So I don't know all the ins and outs of why that is. Do you have any insight on what that has been the cause of that? Or
I'm not sure. Maybe because of the quarterback play of Deshaun Watson. He hasn't done too well since he's come back in. He's getting the system down, getting his feet wet. The offense of the Browns didn't really do much last week. It was their defense, against the Texans that scored a milestone of points last week. So hopefully you had Cleveland's defense in your lineups.
I did.
But but I'm unsure of why the Bengals are favored that much. Is Amari Cooper playing this week?
He's questionable, but I think he's supposed to play.
Okay.
Yeah, he's definitely one of the plays on my radar. It's a little bit different now though with the Deshaun Watson at quarterback. I don't know exactly how that target share and everything's going to go. Njoku's supposed to be back for them, so it'll be interesting to see where all the targets go.
Yeah, absolutely. But as far as running backs go, I like both running backs on both sides in this game. I like Chubb and I like Mixon. Perrine did a great job when Mixon's been out, but I think he's going to get a majority of the carries tomorrow.
Mixon,
I think with Mixon, and I like both of them. As far as receivers go, I'm not sure with Amari Cooper. I'm actually leaning more towards T. Higgins in this one as far as a receiver to choose for the Bengals. He always does this great. I mean, both of them usually do really great this time of year, but I have a feeling that they're gonna try to shut down Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins he's gonna benefit from that. I think he'll get some one-on-ones, and I think he has a better chance of getting open tomorrow. So
I agree. I like both running backs as well. Nick Chubb is only currently 4% owned on DraftKings and FanDuel and only 1% on Yahoo. He's had some really nice games against the Bengals. He had 28.4 DraftKings points in their matchup on Halloween. He's 7,800 on DraftKings, 8,400 on FanDuel, $32 on Yahoo. I do like Amari Cooper as well. 6,200 on DraftKings, 7,300 on FanDuel, $24 on Yahoo. He's averaged 18.2 DraftKings points his last 5 games, and he did have 26 DraftKings points against the Bengals in that last matchup. On the Bengals side, the Browns have allowed the second most fantasy points to running backs this year. So I definitely like Joe Mixon. I think, like you said, he'll probably get the bulk of the carries. He's 6,900 on DraftKings, 8,500 on Fanduel, $29 on Yahoo. He is supposed to be pretty chalky, but he has averaged 28 DraftKings points in 4 games at home against Cleveland. So he's definitely been putting up big numbers at home against the Browns. So it's a little surprising that Burrow's struggled against them as much as he has with his record, winning and losing, with Mixon playing that well. So,
yeah,
pretty interesting.
Yeah, Njoku's a pretty good play too for Cleveland this week. Hayden Hurst, he's not playing this week. On the other side of the ball, their next guy up, I believe, is Drew Sample.
Yeah.
Could be a plug play. He does have the quarterback. The quarterback's really good. So, but I like Njoku. I think he's a tight end that you can have in your lineup this week.
Okay. Yeah. All right. The next game, we have the Houston Texans at the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas is favored by 17. That's probably the biggest I've seen all year. I know there was one. Was it the Rams, I think, and the Chiefs, where the Chiefs were favored by like 16. But
yeah, what about think back in 2020 when there was no starting quarter, all the quarterbacks were out with Denver.
COVID? Oh yeah.
And Kendall Hinton was the starting quarterback.
Yeah, I remember that.
I think that was a giant point spread. I don't know who they were playing. I think they were playing the Saints.
That sounds right to me. Yeah, they had a huge point spread that game.
Huge point spread.
But as far as this year goes, I do believe 17 is the largest I've seen, because the second largest would be that Kansas City Rams game a couple weeks ago with Bryce Perkins starting. But anyway, so Dallas is favored by 17. It has a 44 over-under. This game is getting quite a bit of ownership. Tony Pollard, the Dallas defense primarily. Anybody else that you like besides those two in this game?
I actually like CeeDee Lamb in this game. I think their number 1 draft pick, Stingley, I believe he's going to be out for the Texans. So I think he would have been the guy that would have been on CeeDee Lamb. So I think CeeDee Lamb's going to get the number 2 this week. Just hopefully the game's not over before halftime, and then the second string's coming in, because that's kind of what's been happening to the Texans week in and week out the past couple weeks. So
I mean, you might get burned if you play. You pay up for a Tony Pollard or even a Dak Prescott, somebody like that, and then he only gets like 2 1/3 quarters, or how many quarters he gets, and then they just pull the starters. That would suck.
Right.
So hopefully that doesn't happen. Hopefully it stays relatively close so we can get a full game, from the Dallas side. Are you on the chalky Dallas defense?
I am on the chalky Dallas defense. I have Dallas in my year long, and Dallas has just been playing so well, and I don't think they're going to stop now.
No,
I don't know what they've averaged within the past 4 weeks, but it's been a lot. So I like Dallas' defense a lot. The other one of the guys I like, Dameon Pierce for Houston. I think they're going to get him the ball. If there's a spot on Dallas that we can kind of get by and try to try to get rid of that pass rush, it's by running the ball against them.
Sure. Yeah.
So I think Dameon Pierce could be a play this week as well.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. They're really banged up at wide receiver. They've got Philip Dorsett, Chris Moore, and the cast-off from Green Bay, which they've been having wide receiver issues all year until Christian Watson kind of came on the scene. Amari Rodgers, so he was primarily just a kick returner for us. So the fact that he's going to be their number 3 wide receiver, that's going to be interesting, because I could see their pass game just absolutely getting destroyed. They just don't have
absolutely.
Micah Parsons and all those guys are going to just be running all over Davis Mills running after him, chasing after him, taking him down. So, yeah, I definitely like the Dallas defense as well, as does everybody else. The next game we have 1 p.m. Eastern, the Minnesota Vikings at the Detroit Lions. Detroit, this is the surprise spread of the week, I think. Detroit is favored by 2, even though they're 5-7, and the Vikings are 10-2, with a 51.5 over/under. That is a monster number.
Yeah.
I think you could probably stack like 3 or 4 guys from each side of this game. So.
It depends on really where you want to go with. As far as quarterbacks, I think both quarterbacks are in play. Jared Goff's been playing really well. He's kind of at full strength as far as his offensive weapons go. He's going to have Jameson Williams in the lineup for the second time in 2 weeks. So he's going to be a little bit more involved. I like, as far as running backs go, I like Jamal Williams, and I like DeAndre Swift. Swift's been getting the ball a little bit more. Been vulturing back his tight ends or his touchdowns from Jamal Williams, vulturing them back. But I do like both those running backs. They use them a lot. And then on the other side of the ball, I think I like Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook does play pretty well against the Lions. He looks real explosive. The team is winning. I think, this is going to be a great game. It's got a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of points, a lot of, they're going to be at their best, I think, this week. So I'm excited about a lot of players in this game. Who are you the most excited about?
You've got the plays you mentioned. You've got the TJ Hawkinson revenge game going back to Detroit. Both Cousins and Goff, of course. The interesting play to me is going to be Justin Jefferson. Now, if Jeff Okudah is out, which he's questionable, I definitely think Jefferson should be a top 3 wide receiver tomorrow. But if he's in there, he did a really good job on Jefferson last time they played. He only had 3 catches for 14 yards, and it's hard for me to imagine Jefferson being, held down like that again. But at 9,000 on DraftKings, 9,300 on Fanduel, and $40 on Yahoo, that's a pretty hefty price to pay if he only gets say 15, fantasy points.
Right.
So Jefferson is, if Okudah sits, he's a must play, I think. But if Okudah plays, he might be a fade for me. I'm just not sold on paying that much for that. So
for that,
for that.
It's like Devontae Adams on Thursday night. You always want to get Devontae Adams, but and Jalen Ramsey hasn't been really playing that well this year.
Right.
But out of all the games, that's the game he stepped up and kind of held him in check. He still got 71 yards, but
But he wasn't really targeted that much,
No, he wasn't. He wasn't thrown to at all in the second half.
Yeah. They just ran the ball a ton with Josh Jacobs. So even though he had a hand injury, which was interesting to me, I mean, you could at least I would have thrown probably at least 3 or 4 more passes Devontae's way. He's just too good and too explosive.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Jefferson is all dependent upon if Okudah plays. And then if not, then I'll probably have Jefferson. And then on Detroit, like I said, Jared Goff, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Minnesota's allowed the second most fantasy points to wide receivers. He's the obvious chalky wide receiver play tomorrow. I still like DJ Chark. I mean, I think they've been getting him involved a little bit lately, and you don't know exactly how long it'll be before Jameson Williams, gets
steps out and does
even 30%, of the snaps. He's way down there right now. So, if he only gets like 10 snaps, then even though he's still low priced, he's still not going to probably meet value unless he gets a touchdown.
Right.
So
has no floor at all.
Right. Yeah. There's really no floor. I guess if he caught a long touchdown that at 4,400 on DraftKings, 4,500 on FanDuel, $10 on Yahoo, he would be worth it. It's a lot more of a pretty even comparison on DraftKings between Chark and Williams, because Chark's 4,300. He's actually cheaper than Williams, and Williams is 4,400 on DraftKings. But on FanDuel, Chark is 5,700. whereas
Yeah.
Williams is 4,500. So the
Mhm.
best value for Williams is definitely on FanDuel and Yahoo. So
Yep.
I think
But
I'll just
I do like Shark. Shark's got a really solid floor.
yeah.
And if you throw a touchdown in any of those mixes that he's had in the past couple weeks,
Mm-hmm.
he had some really decent points. Almost broke 100 last week. I think he had 98 yards. So I like Shark. And Shark looks good.
Yeah, he does. Yep.
He
He had
does.
a
Yeah.
nice game last week against his former team, and
Mhm.
like I said on DraftKings, where he's $100 cheaper, than
Right.
Williams, so the decision's kind of been made for me. So I definitely like him on DraftKings.
Yeah.
The next game we have the Philadelphia Eagles at the New York Giants. This should be another really good game. Philadelphia is favored by 7. It is supposed to have a 40% chance of rain. It has a 45 over under. So if it rains fairly decently, that's a fairly high over under. The
Yeah.
Giants have been playing pretty good defense. Their numbers against Jalen Hurts, which is a small sample size, but pretty surprising. He's only averaged 6.6 DraftKings points in 4 games against the Giants. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah, they've really done a good job on him. He had 16.7, which even that is, better than 6.6, but it's nowhere near what you need for his
Mhm.
price tag. So I don't expect him to get that, low of a number. But if he does, he's really going to hurt a lot of people because he's pretty chalky.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, it's crazy that their over under is at 45, and the Detroit Vikings game's at what, 51.
51.
They expect it to be that close of comparison between the two games. I would stay way under on that on the 45.
I agree.
I think it's going to be a low scoring game. That they a divisional rival that plays each other pretty strong, and like you were saying,
Exactly.
Jalen Hurts hasn't really performed like he's performed against other teams than the Giants. So I like that call.
Yeah.
In this game, I like I do like his running ability though, and what he offers there, and that's a potential of kind of trying to get him into your lineup, especially based on how many buys there are this week and the different plays that you have. But on the other side of the ball, Daniel Jones, he's not in play for me. As at running backs, I think Saquon Barkley's dealing with a neck thing. They say
I think you're right.
They say it's going to be a game time decision, and if he's able to play, the neck thing's not going to affect his performance on how he plays and how he runs and this and that. But it's kind of one of those things. Is he in or out?
So
the other
Matt Breida or Gary Brightwell. That's not going to strike the fear in the hearts of the Eagles, especially with Jordan Davis back on their defensive line. So, and they've added Ndamukong Suh and Linval Joseph since that first matchup too. So, yeah, Barkley's out. That's going to be a tough game for the Giants offense, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. As far as the Eagles go, there's other running backs that I would try to get into my lineup other than Miles Sanders. They've been splitting carries a lot, and as far as how much Jalen Hurts takes the ball in those RPOs, I'm kind of fading Sanders and Gainwell and pretty much all the running backs for the Eagles. As far as receivers go, I don't know what last week you could have went with either Devontae Smith or AJ Brown. They both had pretty awesome games.
Right.
This week I would I like how Devontae Smith is when he gets the ball. He tends to get more separation than AJ Brown as far as getting open. So I like Devontae Smith in this game out of all the receivers. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think that Devontae Smith is probably my favorite wide receiver too. His ownership is decent. He's 6,300 on DraftKings, 7,000 on FanDuel, $16 on Yahoo. AJ Brown missed the first game against them, so we don't really have any numbers to compare it to. But he's right up there with Jefferson and Amon-Ra St. Brown in the price tag. And I probably would prefer both of those guys over him. So
Yeah.
I'm probably not going to go there. So the other play I do like, though, I like the Eagles defense. They're probably going to get lower owned because of everybody going to, I think, Dallas and who's the other one? I think Pittsburgh actually is one of the other ones going up against Tyler Huntley. They're getting quite a bit of ownership. So with that being said, I think the Eagles defense is kind of sneaky tomorrow.
Yeah, I think it's a good play.
The next game we have is the one I just mentioned with the Ravens and the Steelers. Pittsburgh is favored by 1.5, has a 36.5 over under, so much lower over under than we've been talking about here in the last couple of games. Not really a whole lot I like in this game. Even if Lamar Jackson was playing, I don't think I would like this game that much. And I guess the only play I really like on the Ravens is Mark Andrews. He had 17 DraftKings points last year with Tyler Huntley at quarterback. And then I do think the Steelers are probably going to get George Pickens the ball a little bit more. I know he was really upset that last game, and it was looking like Deontay Johnson might even be out this game. So if he would have been out, then Pickens would have been a really nice play. But I still think Pickens is a little sneaky in this game, but definitely not my favorite game here at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, not at all. And it's, what you were mentioning about how Huntley and Andrews were together last year. Huntley had a stretch of games where Andrews, had double-digit fantasy points every week.
Yeah.
So it was that's obviously his target, and that's like who he likes to go to. So I like Mark Andrews a lot in this game. As far as running backs go for the Ravens, I don't know which route they're going. I don't know if J.K. Dobbins is supposed to be back. Gus Edwards and Drake were kind of in the mix last week. So so
they did activate J.K. Dobbins today, and he's eligible to make his return tomorrow. But we don't know if he's going to play, if he plays, how many snaps he's going to get. So that's definitely a risky, more of a GPP play for sure.
Yep. Yeah, that's the way I see it. And then and then I don't like the steal Najee Harris. He's had a couple decent weeks, but I don't like him in this matchup. Ravens are actually pretty good against the run this year, so I'm going to stay away from that. But what you were saying with George Pickens, asking for for more targets, more to be seen more, and the guy is such a dominant big player, wins those one-on-one battles. And I like George Pickens. I think he's a guy that, if you were going to pick between, whatever dollar amount he is on FanDuel or DraftKings and this and that, go look. And, I think he's going to demand more targets than most of those guys that are surrounded by him on DraftKings and FanDuel.
So he's 5,000 on DraftKings, he's 6,300 on FanDuel, and $18 on Yahoo. So that DraftKings price, I mean, he's almost at that 4K range. So definitely like that 5,000 on DraftKings. I think that's a really good price in the spot for him. He's not and I'll get into full ownership later, but as far as his ownership right now, he's only at 1.4% on DraftKings. So that's really surprising because, I mean, if he gets, 20, 30 fantasy points, which he's potentially capable of, and that's gonna come close to breaking the slate. So yeah, he's definitely a GPP sleeper for me for sure.
Yeah, I like it.
The next game we have Jacksonville at Tennessee. Jacksonville, let's see. Trevor Lawrence is questionable. So that's the
toe injury.
Yeah, dealing with a toe injury. So Tennessee is favored by 3.5, 41 over under. A lot of this game's going to depend on if Trevor Lawrence plays for me. What about for you?
Yeah, same goes with me too. I like Tennessee at this time of year. So I think it's going to be a lot of Derrick Henry this week.
Yeah.
And just kind of, in the mind of Mike Vrabel and slowing the clock down and controlling the game and controlling time of possession. So I think it's going to be a low-scoring game, and I think Tennessee is going to hold the ball for most of it. So
Yeah,
That's kind of what I see.
he's kind of getting he's the highest projected owned player on Fanduel right now. He's 9,000. He's at 20.3% projected ownership, and then he is the third highest projected on DraftKings at 20.2, and he is way down on Yahoo. I don't even see him yet. Let me see here. Looks like he's about roughly 15 to 20, somewhere around there, at 13.2%. So, yeah. But
and then on the other side of the ball with Travis Etienne, he's been kind of banged up. He fumbled the ball last game. The game got way out of hand against Detroit. Detroit's defense really was able to hold him in check, but and then he didn't play the last quarter because the game script was so messed up, and they started playing everyone else. I would love to be able to put a lot of trust in him, but he's kind of had a couple goose eggs. Well, not goose eggs, but came up really, really short the past couple of weeks. So I wouldn't be trusting him and having him in your lineup this week. I mean, what do you think about it, Grash?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, this this whole situation with Trevor Lawrence is, like I said, it's really going to determine where I go with this game. Derrick Henry is probably the only play I like on this game from Tennessee side. I think Christian Kirk and Zay Jones, though, I think they're both in play if Trevor Lawrence plays. Tennessee's allowed the third most fantasy points to quarterbacks, and they've allowed the most fantasy points to wide receivers. So definitely some opportunity here for those guys if Trevor Lawrence plays. But if not, then I would just either play Derrick Henry or fade this game, I think, if Lawrence fits. So, yeah. All right, next game we have the Kansas City Chiefs at the Denver Broncos, moving to the 4:05 start time from prime time. They were originally scheduled to play on Sunday night, but they moved it because of the records and everything. The Broncos record, and they moved the Chargers and the Dolphins, which should be a really good game, to Sunday night. So this game, Kansas City is favored by 9. It has a 44 over under. It's in Denver. Games in Denver typically are pretty low scoring. So even though it's the Chiefs, I kind of feel like this is going to be a lower scoring game, maybe like a 24-17 type game. A lot lower than, you would normally think for a Chiefs game, for sure.
Yeah. And with that being said, I'm hoping that's the way the game plays out this week. Otherwise, if it goes the other way, I would fade Latavius Murray. But starting with the quarterbacks, it's kind of hard to sit Patrick Mahomes. But Denver's defense is, they played everyone really, really strong this year. I'm sure you've seen stats. If the Broncos were to score an extra 8 points every game, they would only have like 2 or 3 losses of the year.
Oh, wow. Huh.
Yeah,
no, I didn't see that. Yeah.
Their defense is only given up 13 points per game this year. So which is crazy. You wouldn't think that with Denver, but because their offense is just not good at all. Maybe this is Russell Wilson's game where he throws a couple touchdowns and makes a lot of happen, and maybe they pull off the upset this week. It's the NFL, and anything can happen. And and the way that something like this could happen is by having a pretty solid defense. So it would be something great to see. I would love to see that. I'd love for everything to get a little tighter in the AFC as well, as far as playoffs coming in. So
that would be very interesting if that were to happen. For me, I think Travis Kelce is still in a decent spot. I mean, the wide receivers is what Denver's really been shutting down. They've allowed the second fewest fantasy points to wide receivers. So I think that tight end is a little bit better spot to attack the Denver defense. And Kelce kind of had a down game last game. Really had a down game, really.
Yeah, he did.
Against the Bengals. So I like him here. He's 7,600 on DraftKings, 8,000 on FanDuel, 36 on Yahoo. The other play I like is the Chiefs defense. 3,900 on DraftKings, 4,500 on FanDuel, $15 on Yahoo. They're projected to go pretty low owned, and I think they're in a good spot against Denver. As you mentioned, their offense has really been struggling this year, and I just think that if they can, get a few picks on Wilson, they can really get him rattled. So, yeah, I like their defense. Not the last game. We got 2 games left. Next game, we have Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the San Francisco 49ers. It starts at 4:25 p.m. Eastern. San Francisco is favored by 3.5, over under 37.5. Of course, the big news here, no Jimmy Garoppolo. Brock Purdy is starting for San Francisco. Looks like it's about a 39% chance of rain with 9-mile-an-hour winds. So what's your feel on this game?
I'm gonna go with the Buccaneers in this game. I do think it's gonna be a low scoring game between the two, but I like Tom Brady more than I like Brock Purdy. Mr. Irrelevant this last year, in case anyone didn't know.
Right.
Last guy drafted, so pretty interesting there. But I like how the Buccaneers came together and was able to get that win collectively last week. I like how they used Leonard Fournette. I like how they, between Leonard Fournette and Rashid White, they used them pretty well. Brady, he threw his first pick last week, for the first pick since I think it was week 3.
Yeah.
But Brady's playing better. He looks better, and I think he's gonna outplay Brock Purdy on the other side. And again, it's gonna be a defensive battle, but low scoring. But I think the Buccaneers are gonna pull it out.
Yeah, I think he got a new girlfriend too. That's the rumor I saw on the internet. So, yeah, he's definitely feeling better, I think. But and he's definitely shown. I mean, if you look at it, ever since from the beginning of the year, going through that divorce and all that, and then after that divorce, it seems like his plays really picked up since then. So, with him having a new girlfriend now and everything, I'm sure he's just going to keep getting better and more like what we're used to seeing from Tom Brady. But anyway, I do like the Bucs defense in this game. They're 2,900 on DraftKings, 3,900 on FanDuel, $17 on Yahoo. They would be my top play from the Bucs, and I like George Kittle. His price, 4,300 on DraftKings. I mean, that's just ridiculous. He's been struggling of late, so I get it from that standpoint. But Tampa Bay's really struggled against tight ends. They've allowed the 4th most fantasy points to tight ends. And I mean, it's George Kittle, at some point he's going to break out. And so I want to be ahead of that when he does,
For sure. And he's going to be Purdy's, safety blanket. So,
yeah, exactly.
So I do like that call.
He's 4,300 on DraftKings, 5,900 on FanDuel, $19 on Yahoo. So yeah, it's pretty reasonable all across the board. I think that would do it for this game. The last game of the day we have at 4:25 as well. Carolina at Seattle. Seattle's favored by 4, has a 44.5 over under. Looks like Carolina's pretty healthy. I don't really see anybody on their injury report. Kenneth Walker III is looking like he's going to be a game time decision. If he plays, then of course he's going to be a really good play. He's been fantastic since he started, starting for Seattle. And then DK Metcalf is listed as questionable, but he's on track to play. I kind of lean towards Tyler Lockett in this game. I don't know about you, but who else do you like from this game?
So I've been following the running back situation this week with Seattle all week long. Not only is Kenneth Walker questionable, hasn't practiced all week long, but DJ Dallas, the backup, hasn't practiced all week long either. The guy that could be potentially in play, more of a third down back, but he would get lead role responsibility, would be Travis Homer. If either one of those guys don't play, they did elevate a running back. I forget what his name is for Seahawks. They were supposed to elevate any guys from the practice squad today. They elevated one running back, but not a running back that they signed recently, like Wayne Gallman. They just signed this week, but they didn't elevate him. So they elevated one running back. So I'm assuming they think one of those two running backs are going to play in Kenneth Walker and DJ Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I think they would have elevated more running backs.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, but if you've watched this and follow it, and if you have a guy like let's say you just have Kenneth Walker and you have him in your lineup, and just keep following it, make sure that he's not playing, and you can pivot from there to go into a Travis Homer. He's not going to give you the same play, but having that type of volume, I think he's definitely worth the play. How much is he? And
Kenneth Walker.
Yeah,
he is $6,800 on DraftKings, $7,600 on Fanduel, and $29 on Yahoo. So,
yeah,
not too bad. He's been above 8K on Fanduel at a couple weeks ago. So, yeah, it's not too bad. Not too bad.
But it's a potential of being able to pivot with those afternoon games, because we're not going to know the active or the inactives before the first game. So trying to strategically use your money in order to try to have Kenneth Walker, and maybe there's a receiver in one of the earlier or another 2:00 game, and kind of play back and forth with that.
Yeah,
and be able to try to maximize your money.
Totally agree there. Anything on the Carolina side, or just the?
Well, on the Carolina side, I like Dante Foreman. I like I actually even like Chuba Hubbard in this game. I actually went to the game last week when the Seahawks played the Rams, and Cam Akers scored.
And
a lot of other guys ran the ball, did pretty well against it. Seattle's not very good against the run.
Right.
They're I don't know, maybe like 29th out of 32 teams.
Yeah, they're exactly. They're third in fantasy points allowed. So they've allowed the third most fantasy points to running backs. Yeah. Yeah.
So I think both those running backs could be in play. I like Foreman more than I like Hubbard. However, if it gets into which I don't think it will, but if it gets into that game script and Geno Smith just goes out there and starts slinging it and scoring a bunch of touchdowns, I think Hubbard's going to get more touches throughout the game.
Yeah, I like that call. Real quick here, let's just take a look at the ownership on DraftKings. Amon-Ra St. Brown, number 1 at 26.4. Joe Mixon, 23.6. Derrick Henry, 20.2. Tony Pollard, 19.8. Justin Jefferson, 18.9. DeAndre Swift, 18.2. Greg Dulcich, 16%. Cowboys defense, 15.5. CeeDee Lamb, 15. Jamar Chase, 14.7. Dalvin Cook, 14.5. DJ Moore, 14.4. Garrett Wilson, 14. Adam Thielen, 13.6. Steelers defense, 13.5. And Jared Goff, 13.3. On Fanduel, Derrick Henry, number 1 at 20.3. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 20. Kenneth Walker at 19.7. Tony Pollard at 18.5. Joe Mixon, 16.9. Christian McCaffrey, 16.3. CeeDee Lamb, 15.1. Josh Allen, 14.4. Justin Jefferson, 14.1. Tied with Saquon Barkley at 14.1. Travis Kelce, 13.9. Stephon Diggs, 13.2, tied with the Steelers defense at 13.2. And then you have Travis Etienne and DeAndre Swift tied at 12.7. Yahoo, we have DeAndre Swift, number 1 at 47%. He's $16, so he is a little bit cheaper, but that is extremely high chalk for a running back. Joe Mixon, 26.2. Travis Etienne, 24.2. Damian Pierce, 22. Steelers defense, 22. Josh Allen, 21.2. Dalvin Cook, 21. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 19.6. Latavius Murray. There's a Latavius Murray sighting, 19. Cowboys defense, 18.8. CeeDee Lamb, 17.7. Christian McCaffrey 17.4, and then Saquon Barkley 16.6, TJ Hawkinson 16.2. Anything in that list on those three websites that stands out to you?
A lot of numbers. I'm not. Which one stands out the most to you, Josh?
The Swift 47% on Yahoo. That's super high.
That is.
The next closest is Joe Mixon at 26. So,
especially within a committee,
Yeah, with him and Jamal Williams, exactly. So I think on Yahoo, on GPPs, you could definitely fade Swift for Williams or anyone really, but 47%, that definitely has a bust potential. If Williams vultures his touchdowns, like you like to do. So that's very interesting to me. Well, we still don't have clearance on Boom Fantasy. I haven't gotten all clear on that yet, so we won't do that. Let's go ahead and give away one of the tickets. Real quick here. Don't really see very many people in here tonight. They may have not gotten They may not have gotten the memo that we were moving to Saturday. Might have been thinking we're doing it tomorrow, which I hope not, because then we'll have some disappointed people to tune in tomorrow. So Don Thompson, you're today's winner. If you could reach us on Twitter at DFS Coach Talk, or you can send me a direct email, jpdavis1982@gmail.com, and I will make sure that you get your ticket for the Millie Maker tomorrow. Anything else you want to add before we get out of here, Steve?
Nope. I think we're good. And one of my strongest plays is Garrett Wilson. So Garrett Wilson is probably my strongest receiver play this week. I like
Garrett Wilson too. I think that's a good play. I heard he's probably going to be staying away from Trey White. Trey White's back for the Bills, and he's probably going to be on Corey Davis out on the outside, and then Garrett Wilson will be in the slot. So probably be staying away from Trey White defense. So I like that matchup for him, for Garrett Wilson. All right, guys. Well, hope you enjoyed the show. We will be back again next week, probably the same time, 8 o'clock Eastern on Saturday. And then once we get into the new year, we'll probably move back to Sundays for the few weeks we'll have left of the playoffs and the Super Bowl and all that. But hope everyone has a great night, and we will be back again next week when we look to crush it in NFL DFS. Thank you.